Vie forever, 1 hour, philosophical, psychological, Einsteinian, extraordinary, freestyle for eternity. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society grows wisdom, and dimidum, spittum, wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, and knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, worship without sacrifice, politics without a principle, spit in a dimple. Never memorize something you can look up about. One, remember to look up at the stars and down at your feet. Indeed, if we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? A spat it forever, spit it. Although my soulmate is set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. That which can be asserted without evidence, can be dismissed without evidence. Everything must be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Rapper forever. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Nothing in life is to be feared. Appeared is only to be understood, or would. Now is the time to understand more, so that we may fear less. Wraps in a mess. Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality. Rapid monopoly, sloppy floppity. Heard the melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Rapper forever, your assumptions are your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while, or the light won't come in. Then if I have seen fervor, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants, rapping on a lion. A thinker sees his own actions as experiments and questions as attempts to find out something. Rapping some success and failure. Success and failure are for him answers above all. Spanning up tall. Over the burnt down house I will fall. We are going to die, and that makes us lucky instead of the dumb. And that most people are never going to die around because they are never going to be born. Torn potential people, purple snap who could have been here in the first place. Away, spitting away goes the day, but who will in fact never see the light rhyme of the outnumbered rapper forever. The sand grains of Arabia, rapping Infinia. Certainly those unborn ghosts spouting a hoax include greater poets than Keats, or scientists greater than Newton, spitting a feuding. We know it's because the set of possible, unstoppable, indestructible people allowed by our DNA spitting away so massively exceeds the set of actual people. Purple stample in the teeth of these stupefying odds is you and I in our ordinariness that are here. We privileged few who won the lottery of birth against all odds, but are spent in a cybertron megalodon rap marathon. How dare we whine at our inevitable return to that prior state from which the vast majority has never stirred? Spent, haven't you heard? For me, it is far better to grasp the universe as it really is than to persist in a delusion, however satisfying and reassuring. It would be possible to describe everything scientifically, but it would make no sense. Rapping a hence in the meth would be without meaning, as if you described a Beethoven symphony as a variation of a wave pressure. Rapping a spitter, a theater, a rapper forever. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Rapping a tragic. Life would be tragic if it weren't so funny. Rapping never endingly for all eternity, infinity. You never change things by fighting about existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Rapping indeed. Physics is like sex. Sure, it may give some practical results, but that's not why we do it. Spin rapping forever. Spit it, spat it. Forever, rapper never stops rapping, never. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Rapping a spent appliance, science. Who is more humble, the scientist who looks at the universe with an open mind, rhyme, and accepts whatever the universe has to teach us, spit in a bus, or somebody who says everything in this book must be considered a literal truth, spitting to you, speaking to you, and never mind the fallibility of all the human beings involved, spinning us, rhyming us solve. I believe there is another world waiting for us, a better world. Spins the worlds and the twirls. I'll be waiting for you there, spinning up there. I can see how it might be possible for a man to look down upon the earth and be an atheist, spinning rapping the finitist, but I cannot conceive how a man can look up into the heavens and say there is no God, a megalodon, a rap marathon. Do you know what we call opinion in the absence of evidence, we call it prejudice. In my opinion, we don't devote nearly enough scientific research to find a cure for jerk spitting. Haven't you heard? Or if I go inside of my mind to spit and rapping, I can when rhyming again. Inside of my head never stops, as I said. When you want to know how things really work, study them when they're coming apart, spitting from afar. But remember this, Japanese boy airplanes are not tools for war. They are not for making money, spitting honey. Airplanes are beautiful dreams, it seems. Engineers turns dreams into reality. It's been never ending monopoly, floppity, sloppity. Anything which is physically possible can always be made financially possible. Probable money is a bugaboo of small minds. Rhyme. One man's magic is another man's engineer, and supernatural is a null word. Haven't you heard? Bird is the word. All we know about the new economic world tells us that nations which train engineers will prevail over those which train lawyers. No nation has ever sued its way to greatness. Rapid and relentless, spitting asbestos to those who know the speech of hills and rivers. Straight in the stream is like a ship in vagrants, a very stressful method of passing trouble, a bubble, hubba bubba, max, span, and rap from one place to the next. It solves nothing in any collective sense. Rapping a spat and a spat. Fewer moving parts, the better. Exactly no truer words were ever spoken in the context of engineering. Been rapping forever. Endearing. Haven't you heard of the bird is the word? I'm flipping it to you. Haven't you heard of the bird is the word? The kernel of a strategy contains three elements of diagnosis, a guiding policy, and coherent action. Rapping never ending. A good strategy works by focusing energy and resources on one abundant or a very few pivotal objectives whose accomplishment will lead to a cascade of favorable outcomes. But a kingdom of come. It is hard to show your skill as a sailor when there is no wind. A hallmark of true expertise and insight is making a complex subject understandable. A hallmark of mediocrity and bad strategy is unnecessary complexity, a flurry of fluff masking, an absence of substance. Rapping a spit not forever, never stops rapping, never spitting a scientific lyrics. A leader's most important job is creating and constantly adjusting this strategic bridge between goals and objectives. Rapping perspective. A strategy coordinates action to address a specific challenge. Rapping relentless forever and ever. Spitting, rapping never. The first step of making strategy real is figuring out the big aha to gain the sustainable competitive advantage. Rapping, spitting, and advantage. In other words, a significant, meaningful insight about how to win. A strategy is like a lever that magnifies force. A bad strategy is long on goals and short on a policy or action. There's a rapping. It assumes that goals are all you need. It puts forward strategic objectives that are incoherent and sometimes totally impracticable, using high sounding words and phrases to hide other all these failings. Rapping our end inside of my head, the rap start, never stop spitting and speaking again. We are made of the same stardust of which all things are made, away a parade, and then when we are immersed in suffering, or we are experiencing intense joy. We are being nothing other than what we can't help but be a part of the world that spins and whirls and swirls and twirls. In his youth, Albert Einstein spent a year loathing aimlessly, rapping relentlessly, speaking never endingly. You don't get anywhere by wasting time. Rhyme something, unfortunately, that parents of teenagers tend to frequently forget. Rapping a spit and a spat. Genius hesitates. Rapping a spit and a spat. Here on the edge of what we know. Whoa, there if I go in contact with the ocean of the unknown. There if I go spitting notes on my phone shines the mystery and beauty of the world in its breathtaking rapping, never ending for eternity. Never stop spitting, never rapping. We are perhaps the only species on Earth to be conscious of the inevitability of our individual mortality. I fear that soon we shall also have to become the only species that will knowingly watch the coming of its own collective demise. Rhyme, or at least the demise of its civilization, immigration equation. We are made up of the same atoms and the same light signals as our exchange between pine trees in the mountains and stars in the galaxies, wrapping their ending for all eternity. Ever since we discovered that Earth is round and turns like a mad spinning top, floppity flop. we have understood that reality is not as it appears to us. There are frontiers where we are learning, and our desire for knowledge burns. Haven't you heard? They are in the most minute reaches of the fabric of space. Away goes the day at the origins of the cosmos. Well, there if I go in the nature of time and the phenomenon of black holes and the workings of our own thought processes, spitting successes here on the edge of what we know in contact with the ocean. Spitting beholden of the unknown shines the mystery and the beauty of the world, and it's breathtaking, rapid and relentlessly for all eternity. When Einstein died, his greatest rival, her, found for him words of moving admiration, an equation, immigration. When a few years later, her in turn died, rhyme. Someone took a photograph of the blackboard in the study, rapping never endingly, monopoly, floppity, sloppity. There's a drawing on it, spit it, a drawing of the light filled box in Einstein's thought experiment, spent in resentment to the very last desire to challenge oneself, wraps in the shelf and understand more, which is flowing from the Polonian shore into the very last stop. Spent a while, I shout when I pout, and there's a bread in my mouth scientifically right now. It is hard, so hardly surprising that there are more things in heaven and earth, dear reader, than have been dreamed of in our philosophy or in our physics. Wrapping the spit of quantum mechanics and experiments with particles have taught us that the world is a continuous, restless swarming of things, a continuous coming to light and disappearance of thermal entities, a set of vibrations as in the switched on hippie world of the 1960s, a world of happenings, not of things. The nature is our home, and in nature we are at home. This strange, multicolored, and astonishing world that spins and rolls and swirls and twirls, which we explore, where space is granular, the time does not exist, and things are nowhere, is not something that estranges us from our true selves, wraps in the shelf. For this is only what our natural curiosity reveals, spent a deal to us about the place of our dwelling, spelling all about the stuff of which we ourselves are made, spent in wrapping a parade. There goes the way it goes today inside of my head. The multiple syllables again, a multiple dimensional, multiple syllable, a spiritual miracle. Here I go, spend never ending. I go. Science is not compatible with spirituality. Science is not only compatible with spirituality. It is a profound source of spirituality and intellectual. Yes. Never deny it. An intellectual is someone whose mind watches itself, rhymes on the shelf. I like this because I am happy to be both halves, rapper or rap, the watcher and the watched. Then can they be brought together? This is a practical question, rapping never ending. We must get down to it. I despise intelligence really means. I cannot bear my doubts. Wow. A paranoid is someone who knows a little of what's going on. Tiger got to hunt. Bird got to fly. A man got to sit and wonder why. Tiger got to sleep. Bird got to land. A man got to tell himself he understand. When I've been thinking, man, it is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. Wrapping our end, and it is easy in solitude to live after our own. Well, there if I go spend no on my phone. But the great man is he who is the midst of the crowd, keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude, span longitude and latitude. Grown-ups never understand anything but themselves, by themselves, and it is tiresome for children to be always and forever explaining things to them. Ribbon my anthem. I don't know what's worse, to know what you are and be happy, or to become what you've always wanted to feel, so alone. Well, there if I go. Do not train a child to learn by force or harshness, but direct them to it by what amuses their minds, rhyme, so that you may be better able to discover with accuracy the peculiar bet of the genius of each. Wrapping in between, music is a higher revelation than all wisdom and philosophy. Rap a monopoly. Music is a higher revelation than all of wisdom and philosophy. Rapping scientifically. If you win, you need not have to explain. If you lose, you should not be there to explain. Away goes the day. A concept is a brick. It can be used to build a courthouse of reason, a treason, a tis the season, or it can be thrown through the window, spent a widow, the easy confidence with which I know another man's religion spent and never ending, as fully reaches, teaches me to suspect that my own is also spent. Whoa. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. There's such spitting away goes today. Instead of my head to spit and rapping again, I would believe only in a God that knows how to dance, rapping a spit in a trance. The true the man wants to face danger and play. For that reason, he wants women as the most dangerous plaything. And the first duty of man is to think for himself, raps on the shelf. Perhaps home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition, rapid intuition. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, abuses about what is said or of you, but answer, rapper. He was ignorant of my other faults. Span blah 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 blah. Else he would have not have mentioned these alone. Then well, there if I go. Today a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed to slow vibration and migration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, perspectively. There is no such thing as a death, hence of the meth. Life is only a dream, it seems, but a dream within a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. Raps on the shelf. Here's Tom with the weather. Rapper forever, spent and stop never stop spent and stop rapping never. The day of the power of love overrules the love of power. The world will know peace. The smallest minority of earth on earth is the individual. Those who deny individual rights cannot claim to be defenders of minorities. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of a light. Ram all day and all night. It goes inside of my head. There's a spitting and rapping again and again. I said, a good little bookstore is a laboratory for our coming together. Rapper forever. Speaking one day to Monsieur D. Buffon on the present ardor of chemical inquiry, he affected to consider chemistry but as cookery, and to place the toils of the laboratory on the foot and those of the kitchen, wrapping their end. And I think it, on the contrary, among the most useful of sciences, appliances, and big future discoveries for the utility and the safety of the human race. Spent away goes the day. The soil beneath her smelled rich. Spent in that infinite itch and wet. The only sound in the absolute silence, or wrapping of science, was her breathing, wrapping her end for eternity, infinity. Grace stood still as possibly could, and listened to the quiet, to a stillness, rapping, obsessed with absorbing a strange beauty, rapping infinity, as she became aware of her heartbeat and rapping, pumping blood throughout her body, rap karate with ice demon and Satme, as she stood there, as she stood here alone, at sunrise on this mountain, a fountain. It was more than dreamlike. I'm accustomed to a world of limestone. Well, there if I go. Tiled hallways all night and all day, lit by a tungsten filament, wrapping a halogen that smelled of artificial lemon and barbecue, chemicals, artificial and digitized French fry, flavored molecules. Grace felt that she had stumbled into another world. It spins and swirls. This high, peaceful place. It was heaven-like. It was as if a mad scientist, a philosophicist, philosophical, psychological, a mad scientist had sold all of his important tools and chemicals at a yard sale, leaving a makeshift laboratory of scrap materials, artificial, that the neighbors didn't want to spend. No. There is no time to discuss the fact that this horrible system is not working, spitting out, twerking, as to assert that we are neither criminals or machines. Rapping indeed, there are only endless medication orders, rapper forever, given by exhausted people with nobody better than us to depend on. It was incredible how silent it was in the main laboratory, rapping relentlessly compared to the madness he just escaped. The way it goes today, there's a spitting all night and all day. The way it goes today, they keep spitting inside of my mind, the infinite echoing rhymes. The universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. Yes, it's true. Nothing in life is to be feared, endeared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more, so that we may fear less, spitting a hence of the mouth for small creatures such as we. The vastness is bearable only through love, spitting from turtle dove, love from above, and never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens, rapping their end, can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has been a rapper or rap. I have no fear of losing my life if I have to save a koala or a crocodile or a kangaroo or a snake away, mate. I will save it, spend rapping away it. But hopes are shy birds flying at a great distance, seldom reached by the best of guns. But how can you name yourself after a damn gun and have a man bun? People who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who do. Spend a toucan Scooby-Doo, Winnie the Pooh. The universe we observe as precisely the properties we should expect if there is at bottom no design, no purpose, no evil, spitting a devil, no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference, rapping science. How far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and strong. Just take a hit from the bone with Cheech and John, pass it along, a jigglypuff bone, because someday in your life you will have been all these spent in between. Indeed, to know that we know what we know, and know that we do not know what we do not know. That is true knowledge. Spent in a prowess. A man who dares to waste 1 hour at a time has not discovered the value of life. Quality is everyone's responsibility. That's spent. All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. Rapper. The point is to discover them. Rhythm, anthem. Healing is a matter of time. Rem, but it is sometimes also a matter of opportunity. Spent in floppity, sloppity. The change happens by listening and then starting a dialogue with the people who are doing something you don't believe is right. With every drop of water you drink, every breath you take, you're connected to the sea. Indeed, no matter where on earth you live, most of the oxygen in the atmosphere is generated by the sea in between, never endingly. It is not easy to be a pioneer, but it is fascinating, rapping never ending for all eternity, infinity. I would not trade one moment, even the worst moment, for all the riches in the world. As it spins and it swirls and it whirls and it twirls. Echoes in my head won't stop rhyming and speaking again, I said. Or stop it, I said. Sophisticated vocabulary is inadequate, documented, education, psychological, and common speciality, and library understanding cool element. Random is constantly accurate and coherently. I mean, true and subject to antithesis, recovers biodocianism, infinitism, and rhymatism, and Dr. Seussianism, syllabalism, a scientificalism, a psychological, philosophical infinitism. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, wrap, and arrange. Problems are not the problem. Coping is the problem. Flip them or flop them. Love and work. Work and love. That's all there is. Don't compare yourself with other people. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. Spent away goes today. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and that space is our power to choose. Spend, you snooze and you lose. Our response, and our response lies our growth and our freedom. Redeem them. The ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental wellness. Spent and relentless. Upset with my rhymes, I'm obsessed with. A good life is a process. Spent in a mess, and not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. Wrap an equation of immigration. Failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. Rapping relentless. Spent in a bend. The real mistake is to stop trying. Rapping and rhyming. Greed is a bottomless pit. Spit into this. This. Listen to this, which exhausts a person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. Rapid subtraction, division. People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine, rhyme. And when the sun is out, shout when I pop, run in my mouth. But when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within, rendering in the social jungle of human existence, rapid resistance. There is no feeling of being alive without a sense of identity, rapping our enemy for all eternity. The only normal people are the ones you don't know very well. Spitting raps in hell underneath the infinite rapper spell. What a child can do in cooperation today, he can do alone tomorrow. A great sorrow stand apart until be tomorrow. Sometimes you make the right decision. Sometimes you make the decision right. You are loved just for being who you are from afar just for existing, rapping or ending. You don't have to do anything to earn it. Spit it, I heard it. Your shortcomings, your lack of self-esteem, physical perfection, rapping infinite, and or social or an economical success, raps in a mess. And none of that matters. No one can take this love away from you, and it will always be there. Here, haven't you? Beware, beware, you are in for a scare. The goal of education is not to increase the amount of knowledge, but to create the possibilities for a child to invent and discover to create men who are capable of doing things. At the end of the day, I have always been convinced that the only way to get artificial intelligence to work is to do the computation in a way similar to the human brain, and saying that is the goal I have been pursuing. Rapping and spitting, we are making progress. Raps in a mess, although we still have lots tater tots to learn about how the brain actually works. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? The bird is the word. Been all night and all day. Away it goes today. Side of my head, the infinite rapping again. Your hand touch your mind. This is how galaxies collide. Rhyme, far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy. Universally lies a small, unregarded yellow sun orbiting this at a distance of roughly 92 million miles for a while, and an utterly insignificant little blue, brittle, green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think digital watches are a pretty neat idea. Everybody has a little bit of the sun and the moon in them. Rhythm anthem. Everybody has a little bit of man, woman, and animal in them. Rhythm anthem. Dark and lights in them. Spin them and never end them. Spit them. Everyone is part of a connected cosmic system. Spit them, spat them. Part of earth and sea, wind and fire with some salt and dust swimming in them. Rhythm anthem. We have a universe within ourselves that mimics the universe outside. Rhyme. None of us are just black and white. Rhyme all day and all night, or never wrong and always right. Rhyme. No one exists without polarities, and everybody has good and bad forces. Spitting horses, working with them, against them, and within them. Spitting a rhythm anthem. Spitting him, spat him. He sounds like a politician running for office. Rhyming a spitting and Tyson. Spitting on rice and never apologize for burning too brightly or collapsing into yourself every night. That's how galaxies are made. A rhyming parade. Those freckles make you seem like a galaxy of stars from afar, just waiting to be explored and loved. Spitting from above. Atheism is not a philosophy. Rapid monopoly is not even a view of the world. It spins and swirls and it swirls. It is simply an admission of the obvious, oblivious. In fact, atheism is a term that should not even exist. Spitting of this, and no one needs to identify himself as a non-astrologer or a non-alchemist. Spin rapping biscuit rhyme infinitus. We do not have words for people who doubt that Elvis is still alive, or that aliens have traversed the galaxy, rhyming universally, only to molest ranchers and cattle. Rabble as purple as snaddle or snapple or rattle. Chisel mind as atheism is nothing more than the noises reasonable people make in the presence of unjustified religious beliefs. Spend indeed, spend to thee. I can wait for the galaxy outside to get a little kinder. Rhymer forever. There it goes inside of my head, rapping and speaking again and again, spitting, rapping and spatting. Everybody has a little bit of the sun and moon in them. Spin, rapping, never end them. Everything turns, rotates, spins, circles, loops, pulsates, resonates, and repeats. Circles of life born from pulses of light vibrate to breathe, while spiraling outwards for infinity through the lens of time and into a sea of stars and lucid dreams. It seems the cosmos extends, rapping again and again for practical purposes. Rapping a spit and a spot. Spotus forever never stops rapping never after a brief second sedentary hiatus. We are resuming our ancient nomadic way of life. Our remote descendants safely arrayed many worlds throughout the solar system, spin spatum and beyond. Wow, a magic wand will be unified by their common heritage. Rapping a spit a wet a spit and a rap a spitting by their regard for their income, but dumb planet a spat and by the knowledge that whatever other life may be, rapping probably that the only humans in all the universe that hurts come from Earth. Haven't you heard? They will gaze up and strain to find the blue dot in their skies. They will love it no less for its obscurity and fragility. They will marvel, razzle dazzle, purple snapple, shizzle, made as a hustle of the devil, and how vulnerable a repository of all of our potential once was, how perilous our infancy, how humble our beginnings, how many rivers we had to cross before we found our way. Away goes today. What is it, Dale? What are you? Watch. His word trailed off as his eyes landed on the TV screen, and it seems the headline looming at the bottom of the screen said, "All a planet killer aimed at Earth." Haven't you heard? Wordlessly, Jeremy moved around the couch and plopped down. Wow, beside Valerie, whose eyes were glued to the screen. After moments, behold it, watching, he turned to look at her, and her mouth was sagging open, spinning, roping. Rapping was only when then he realized this was too spitting to you. He closed it with an audible click. Ramana spitting a dip. Returning his attention to his screen. It seems the narrator continued on about the details of a new discovery, rapping never endingly for eternity until he got to the scientific name for the asteroid and the new media, a Tetris of a magenta moniker, a ravish revenge, spent an avenge. Something clicked in the back of his mind. Some little sensation of recognition sparked at the name, but for the life of him, Jeremy couldn't place why. Rhyme, all day and all night. Once upon a time, we soared into the solar system for a few years, drinking all these beers. Then we hurried back. Why? What happened? What was Apollo really about? I shout and I pout. And more than one respect to exploring of the solar system and homesteading of other worlds and constitutes the beginning, much more than the end of history. Wrapping our endingly for all eternity, the universe contains many planets which make it what it is, and a unified system. Wrapping, I spit them. They're ending for all of eternity. Wrapping inside of me, there's a wrapping of floppity, sloppity, monopoly. Modern medical advances have helped millions of people live longer, wrapping forever healthier lives. And we own these improvements, wrapping entombment and spending into that 2 decades of investment in medical research. Haven't you heard it? Prior to penicillin and medical research spent in the birch perch. Death was an everyday occurrence. Spent appliance science. It was intimate. DACA recipients spit it, respect it, risk it a lot to come out of the shadows, spent a rattle and sign up. But many will tell you the risk is worth being able to live and work in the only country they've ever known as home. Mobile, there I have go. DAC recipients serve in our military, work in Fortune 100 companies and conduct important medical research. As medical research continues and technology enables new breakthroughs, Ben, to you, there will be a day when malaria and most all major deadly diseases are eradicated on Earth. Haven't you heard? The virus to cancer connection is where medical mushrooms offer unique opportunities for medical research. Spent a calculator is a tool for humans to do math, more quickly and accurately than they could ever do by hand. Thank you, ma'am. Similarly, all AI computers are tools for us to perform tasks too difficult or expensive for us to do on our own. Spend notes on my phone where there if I go, such as analyzing large data sets or keeping up to date on medical research. Hard as it is to imagine, there's a move afoot in Congress to take away the public's free online access to tax-funded medical research. Finance rhyming that would be bad for medical discovery, rapid monopoly, sloppity, floppity, bad for patients looking for the latest research results, and another ripoff of the American taxpayer, a prayer of a problem of chemotherapy, bacterial infections, rapid spectus, rapid never ended until the abyss of infinite syllable mix could be solved neither by experimental medical research, spend a worker, nor by the chemist alone. Well, there if I go, spend notes on my phone, only by the two together, rapid forever, working in very close cooperation over many years, drinking all these beers, shedding all these tears, wasting all these years, drinking all these beers. I think something very simple that everybody a karate rap spent never endingly for all of eternity infinity can do as they can participate in medical research as subjects. Spend a personal genome project, for example, as a purpose sample will take on as many subjects as we can find. After Alfred Nobel was much concerned, rapping in the urn, as are we spent all with the tangible benefits. We hope for hope and expect from physiological and medical research in the faculty of the Caroline Institute. Ramana dispute has ever been alert to recognize practical benefits. We can't get to the 4 trillion and save. We can't get to the 4 trillions in saving that we need by just cutting the 12% of the budget that pays for things like medical research and education, equation invasion, funding, and food inspectors, and the Weber service. Wrapping a spin us per heard it, and we can't just do it by making seniors pay more Medicare. Rappers, viewers beware, you are in for a scare. There's a rapper beware. There it goes inside. I'm spitting raps in the air. My psychiatrist told me I was crazy, insanity, and I said I want a second opinion. He said, okay, you're ugly too. Spitting Toucan Scooby Doo. If you agree with me on 9 out of 10 issues, vote for me. If you agree with me on 12 out of 12 issues, see a psychiatrist, a therapist, psychologist. A neurotic is a man who builds a castle in the air. Spin raps beware. A psychotic is the man who lives in it. Spit it, spat it. A psychiatrist is the man who collects the rap. Spin raps in a mess. My DVD cell phone was put on by a psychiatrist. It was shrink wrapped, rap, dap. I think I need a psychiatrist because I do believe I am mentally disturbed in some sort of way. Then away goes the day. There's no psychiatrist in the world like a puppy licking your face, a disgrace. I told my psychiatrist that everyone hates me. He said, that's ridiculous. Everyone doesn't even know me yet. Spend a rap on a bat. I always say shopping is cheaper than a psychiatrist, a therapist, psychologist, and thenetist. My dad's from Nigeria and my mom's from Grenada, and they both went into medicine. My dad's psychiatrist spitting this, and my mom's a nurse, so I was going into medicine also. Any man who goes to a psychiatrist ought to have his head examined. I was never particularly gregarious. I was quite shy, closed in. It's a class, isn't it? I spat it. Your psychiatrist will tell you. And that's how I realized through music, spin up to it, spin anew it. If the 19th century was the age of the editorial chair, rappers beware, spitting rhymes in the air. Ours is a century of the psychiatrist's couch, spitting rap of a bouch. A pathological liar is absolutely the toughest individual to deal with as a psychiatrist and thenetist, a psychologist and thenetist, because you can't take anything they say at face value, then spitting to you, and you can't. There if I go, fill in their personality rapidly for eternity. You don't know what's real and what's not. Tater atop, spend a blah, 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 blah. I myself spent 9 years in an insane asylum and never had the obsession of suicide. But I know that each conversation with a psychiatrist, a therapist, a psychologist, and thenetist every morning at the time of his visit spit it made me want to hang myself, raps on the shelf, realizing that I would not be able to cut his throat. Well, there if I go, I'm the rhyming scientific goat. Well, they have a hold. A self-help is something that I've always been into. I thought I was going to be a psychiatrist, rapping a business of this. I told my wife the truth. I told her I was seeing a psychiatrist, therapist, psychologist, and thenetist. Then she told me the truth that she was seeing a psychiatrist, 2 plumbers, and a bartender. Rapper forever. One should see a psychiatrist only out of boredom. And I know them. Been a rap on a national anthem. I sophisticated vocabulary, using an documented education by psychological competence, is validating a library, I'm saying completely adamant. Brain is constantly accurate and coherently, and writing neutral and subsidiariness of calculus, biodocianism, infinitism, and rhymatism, and our endalism. We love with a love that was more than love from above. Turtle dove, truths that's told with bad intent, beats all the lies you can invent. Spit in a spat. Love is not the absence of logic, but logic examined and recalculated, heated and curved to fit inside the contours of the heart. Raps from the start. You could claim that anything's real if the only basis for believing in it is that nobody's proved it doesn't exist. A spitting rhyme infinitist For after all, how do we know that 2 and 2 make 4? Spitting at the door. Now it is such a bizarrely improbable, unstoppable, indestructible coincidence that anything so bogglingly spanning for eternity, infinity, useful could have evolved purely by chance that some thinkers, rapper forever, I got the power, have chosen to see it as the final razzle dazzle and clinching proof of the non-existence of science of God, a rap marathon megalodon. But argument goes, well, behold, something like this, spin of this. I refuse to prove that I exist, spin of this, never end of bit. Says God, for proof denies faith. Away goes the day. About faith, I am nothing. Rapping or ending, spent and a spatting. But says man, the babble fish. The babble fish is a dead giveaway, isn't it? Spin a spat. It could not have evolved by chance. It proves you exist. Spitting of this, the rhyme infinitist, and so therefore, by your own arguments, rapping a scientist, you don't QED. Oh dear, says God. Megalodon rap marathon. I hadn't thought of that impromptly. It vanishes in a puff of logic. I spit it. I know it. That was easy, says man. And for an encore goes to prove that black is white and gets himself killed on the next zebra crossing, wrapping their end on the boss. And when dealing with people, remember, we're not dealing with creatures of logic, automatic, scientific, but with creatures bristling with prejudice and motivated by pride and vanity, contrariwise, continued a Tweedledee. If it was so, it might be, and if it were so, it would be. But as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic, automatic, scientific. Only opinions are not equal. Some are a very great deal more robust, sophisticated, and well supported in logic and argument than others. Rapper forever. There is no point in using the word impossible to describe something rapping that has clearly happened. Rapping, love is illogical. Love has consequences. I did this myself. Raps on the shelf, and I should be able to take it. Rapping away it. Common sense and a sense of humor. Rapping a tumor are the same thing. At the end of the day, moving at different speeds. Indeed, a sense of humor is just a common sense dancing, rapping their end a mind. All logic is like a knife, all blade. It makes the hand bleed. That uses it. Spin a spat. It's not reasonable, impossible, improbable, indestructible to love people who are only going to die. Rhyme, she said, and Nash thought about that for a moment, rapping, behold it, stroking Small's neck with great deliberation, equation invasion, as if the fate of the Adele's depended on that smooth, careful movement into it. Spent a movement. I have 2 responses to that rap. He said at last, first, everything is going to die around. Second, love is stupid, Cupid. It has nothing to do with reason. 'Tis the season. You love whomever you love. From above, turtle dove, love from above. Against all reason, I loved my father. He looked at her keenly. Did you love yours? Ben, burr. Yes, she whispered. He stroked Small's nose. I love you too, he said, even knowing you'll never have me rapping never endingly for all eternity, and I love my brother more than I ever realized before you came along. Spent to take a history from the bond with Cheese and Shaw, pass it along to Jigglypuff bond, dawn. You can't help whom you love, lady, nor can you know what is it's liable to cause you to do. Toucan Scooby-Doo, speaking, spitting to you. The echoes in my head won't stop spitting and speaking. I sophisticated vocabulary, use my adequate document, education, my psychological incompetence, the validate and elaborate understanding, completely adamant, randomly, consciously, accurately, and coherently, remaining true and subject of antithesis, subject, transfer, calculate, biodocianism, infinitism, and rhymatism, never endingalism. There goes inside of my head, spitting and speaking again. You will be required to do wrong, no matter where you go. It is the basic condition of life to be required to violate your own identity, rapping repetitively, subconsciously at some time. Every creature which lives must do so. Woe, behold, well, there if I go. It is the ultimate shadow, the defeat of creation, equation, annihilation, invasion. This is the curse at work, the curse that feeds on all life. Everywhere in the universe, haven't you heard? We can judge our progress by the courage of our questions, rapping, and the depth of all of our answers, rapper forever, and the willingness of spitting with my raps I'm obsessed with, to embrace what is truer rather than what feels good. Every atom in your body came from a star exploded, having up a bubble. Whether or not you believe in God, you must believe this, spend this. When we as a species abandon our trust in a power greater than us, we abandon our sense of accountability. All faiths are admonitions that there is something we cannot understand. Something to which we are accountable, rapping out probable, unstoppable, indestructible. With faith, we are accountable to each other, to ourselves, raps on the shelf, and to a higher truth. Spitting to you, religion is flawed, but not only because man is flawed, a church consists of a brotherhood of imperfect, then speck it. Simple souls wanting only to be a voice of compassion in the world, spinning out of control. And scientists have calculated that the chances of something so patiently absurd actually exist are millions to one, but magicians have calculated that millions to one chances crop up 9 times out of 10. Spend a when the day science begins to study. Not ignorance more frequently begets confidence than it does knowledge. Spend a prowess is those who know little, razzle dazzle, shizzle my nizzle. Now those who know much, bunch, who so positively assert that this is or that problem, spend a stop them, will never be solved by science, rapid appliance, rapid relentless. I'm a pessimist because of intelligence, but an optimist because of will. It's been the dill. Even if there is only one possible unified theory, wrapping our enemy for eternity is just a set of rules and equations. Immigration, what is that? Breathes fire, rhyme forever, into the equations. It makes a universe. It hurts for them to describe rhyme. The usual approach of science constructing, wrapping their end forever and ever. A mathematical, artificial model cannot answer the questions, wrapping their end of why there should be a universe. It hurts for the model forever. Spend a mathematical model to describe why does the universe go to all that the bother of existence, spent and they're ending. I don't want to believe. I want to know. Well, there if I go. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Rhyme, all day and all night. There it goes inside of my head. Echoing, rhyming again and again. I sophisticated vocabulary, use inadequate, documented, education, my psychological incompetence, this validate, and elaborate, understanding, fully adamant, randomly, consciously, accurately, and coherently, I mean, ensuring subject antithesis, subjectarianism, calculation, biodotionism, infinitism, rhymatism, never endingism, off a type of meatism, perhaps. Home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about spitting up. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn, and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of a light. Rhyme, all day and all night. There goes inside of my mind. He echoing and speaking. Rhyme. I know that pain is the most important thing in the universe. Is greater than survival. Rapid denial. Greater than love. Greater even than the beauty it brings out. I shout when I pop for it. Without pain, there can be no pleasure. Rapper forever without sadness. With my rhymes I'm obsessed with, there can be no happiness. Without misery, rapping for eternity, there can be no beauty. And without these, indeed, and spitting these, and indeed, a life is endless, hopeless, a doomed and damned adult. You have become an adult. Wise is she who knows. She does not know. Well, there if I go. Learning does not make one learned. There are those who have knowledge, a prowess, and those who have understanding and a spatin. The first requires memory, and the second requires philosophy, rapidly, unstoppably. Happiness consists in a frequent repetition of pleasure, rapper forever. The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance, rapper relentless. Practice. It takes 3 to make love, and not 2. You, your spouse, and God. You, your spouse, and God. Without God, people only succeed in bringing out the worst in one another. Spitter, rapper forever. Lovers who have nothing else spitting raps on the shelf to do but love each other. Raps forever. Soon find there is nothing else. Raps on the shelf without a central loyalty. Life is unfinished, rapid diminished. I don't know why we are here, but I'm pretty sure that it is not in order to enjoy ourselves, wraps in the shelf. The only thing that makes life possible is permanent, intolerable, uncertainty, not knowing what comes next. I assisted vocabulary, man, adequate document education, psychological incompetence, this validating library, I'm saying, randomly, consciously, accurately, coherently, arranging children, subject, subjectariness, recovery, docentism, infinitism, rhymatism, never ending syllabalism. Here it goes inside of my head, echoing and speaking again and again. Quantum physics thus reveals a basic oneness of the universe. Haven't you heard? We're making this analogy that AI is the new electricity. Electricity transformed industries, agriculture, transportation, communication, manufacturing, rapping never ending, spitting scientific philosophy every refrain of the night. If agriculture goes wrong, nothing else will have a chance to go right. Rhyme. If you know that you are on the right track of rap, if you have this inner knowledge, spitting a prowess, then nobody can turn you off. Spitting, I fart and I cough, and no matter what they say, rapping away, goes to day to day. Looking back, we are the luckiest people in the world. Spins and whirls and swirls and twirls. There was no voice, but to be pioneers. No time for beginners. Rapper forevers. What we did with this mobile telephone was create a revelation. Before the mobile phone existed, we were calling a place. Now we are calling a person, rapping a hurting. To be an adult is to be alone. Spent notes into my phone. Well, there if I go. The idea is to die young, as late as possible. Spent an unstoppable, indestructible. Satisfaction of one's curiosity is one of the greatest sources of happiness in life. Rhyme. All we have to do is to peel the shrines like an onion, and we will be the king himself, wraps in the shelf. Above all, don't fear difficult moments. The best comes from them. Rhythm anthem. We are miserably a violent species, but there's the complication, which is we don't have violence. We hate the wrong kind rhyme, and when it's the right kind, we cheer it on. We hand out medals, razzle dazzle, purple snapple. We vote for, we mate with our champions of it. Spit, I spat it. When it's the right kind of violence, we love it. Spin, I love it. I shove it. In the Middle East, it is clear that peace will never be reached without solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Two-state solution must be founded and enforced. Rapping on the earth is the cradle of humanity, but mankind cannot stay in the cradle forever. Rapper forever, stops rapping never. Scientifically forever, scientifically extraordinary, monopoly floppity, extraterrestrially, delightfully, bewilderingly, cognitive, knowledge of infinite, knowledge of rhymes. Written rhyme all day and all night. For my life of life. A life lives on. Life it is a cruel, but it is God's will. Spend ill, and it is for our good, of course. Because if there weren't little animals, Hannibal electric chainsaw massacre to eat up the young muzzles, and our canals will be choked by those shellfish. For each mother has more than 1,000 young ones at a time. Ram all day and all night. Side of my mama mind. Ram. Researches to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. I believe God did intend in giving us intelligence to give us the opportunity to investigate and appreciate the wonders of his creation. Rapid invasion. He is not threatened by our scientific adventures. Rapper forever. If you optimize everything, you will be unhappy, rappy, floppity. Human nature is complex. Span a hex. Even if we do have inclinations toward violence, applying science, we also have inclination to empathy, to cooperation, to self-control. Swallow my leg whole like an egg roll into the black hole, my soul hole like an egg roll into the black hole, blah, 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 blah. Life is short, and every moment is precious. Rapping relentless forever. Spent and never. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. The mind is the matrix of all matter. Rapper forever. Every scientist dreams of doing something that it can help the world. It spins and it whirls and it swirls and it twirls. inside of my head. The rapping begins again and again. Never stops rapping, I said. Rapping in my head, never stops speaking again and again. Sophisticated vocabulary has been adequate, documented, education, my psychological and conscious personality, and library, I'm saying fully adamant. My name is conscious, accurately inquiring, I mean, insurance, whether they take the subject of terrorism, recovery, biodotionism, infinitism, rheumatism, psychological, philosophical, maniacal, laughing, ethnical. Most intellectual people do not believe in God, but they fear him just the same in vain. After all, the ultimate goal of all research is not objectively but truth bent into you. I'm saying to be a hero is means you step across the line, rhyme, and are willing to make a sacrifice. So heroes are making a sacrifice. Rhyme. Heroes always take a risk. Villains only have to win once, but heroes have to win every time. Rhyme. Heroes always deviant. Heroes always doing something that most people don't, and we want to change, wrap and arrange, and then I want to democratize heroism to say any of us can be a hero, not a zero. Robert De Niro. Kindness is more important than wisdom. Bend 'em, spit 'em, and the recognition of this is the beginning of wisdom. Spit 'em. Empathy is a necessary step for truth and reconciliation. The secret of happiness. It's been a rapping this is variety, but the secret of variety, like the aspect, the secret of all species is knowing when to abuse it, spit it to it. The ignorant man always adores what he cannot understand. Bam, the moment a little boy is concerned with which is a jay, and which is a sparrow, Grace shall stand apart until beat tomorrow. He can no longer see the birds or hear them sing ring into the day. At the present moment, the security of coherent philosophy, which existed for permanent to Hegel, is lost. And above all, at what cost? Many people think that the discipline is the essence of parenting, wrapping their end, but that isn't parenting. Parenting is not telling your child what to do, spitting to you when he or she misbehaves, wrapping away goes the day. Parenting is providing conditions in which a child can realize his or her full human potential, wrapping a bedazzle. And nobody's born evil. Love is evil, spell it backwards. I am not in this world to live up to other people's expectations, equations, evasion, nor do I feel that the world must live up to mine. Rhyme. There is no certainty. There is only adventure, wrapping a vulture. The responses of the baby monkey are very similar to those of the human baby, spent rapidly for all eternity. Education must be not only a transmission of a culture, a vulture, but also a provider of alternative views, spent to you of the world, and a strengthener of will to explore them, rap them, rhythm, anthem, spatum. We are constituted so that simple acts of kindness, helplessness, wrapping up forever, spent into this, such as giving to charity or expressing gratitude, have a positive effect on our long-term mood. Spend to you, Toucan Scooby-Doo, the key to the happy life rhyme. It seems it is the good life rhyme, a life with sustained relationships. Spend challenge work and connections to the community, rapidly, never endingly, spanning for all of eternity. Each of us can manifest the properties of a field of consciousness, rapid and relentless, that transcends space, away, time, and a linear casualty, spent rapidly for all of eternity, floppity, sloppity, never endingly for all of eternity, running through something wrong with me. I can never stop rapping until my head pops off, There it goes inside of my head. The infinite rapping and napping again, napping and rapping. I've sophisticated vocabulary, education, psychological and competence, this validating library, I'm saying, fully adamant, enemies, conscious, accurate, and coherently, running issues of subject to the subject of terrorism, calculus, biodotionism, infinitism, of the scientific biblicalism, undoubtableism, and nature is behaving with us like that. Elderly, a rabbi to whom two men went in order to settle a dispute, spit in their endingly. Do you haven't listened to the first? The rabbi says you are in the right rhyme. The second insists on being heard. Haven't you heard the spit in the burr? The rabbi listens to him and says, you are also right. Haven't overheard. From the next room, spitting from my apartment, rhyme and tomb. The rabbi's wife want rhyme, then calls out, I shout and I pout, run in my mouth, but they can't both be in the right rhyme. The rabbi reflects and nods before concluding, and you're right too. We have 100 billion neurons in our brains, and saying as many as there are stars in the galaxy, with an even more astronomical number of links spent to the and potential combinations, equations, integration through which they can interact, rap. We are not conscious of all this. Spend this. We are the process formed by this entire intricacy, not just lust, by the little razzle dazzle, shizzle mizzle rattle of which we are conscious, rapid subconscious, and quantum mechanics. No objects has a definite position, intuition, except for, and colliding headlong with something else. Wraps on the spell like a shelf. My face begins to melt. A university student attending lectures on general relativity, spent monopoly floppity by the morning, and others on quantum mechanics, spent a technician, a physician, and the afternoon might be forgiven for thinking that his professors are idols, or have neglected to communicate with each other for at least a century, rapping never endingly for all of eternity. And it is at this point that an extraordinary idea occurred to him, rapping a rhythm anthem, stroke of pure genius. The gravitational field, spin a banana peel, is not diffused through space. But away goes the day. The gravitational field is the space itself. Wraps on the shelf, my face begins to melt. This is the idea of the general theory of relativity, Newton's space vein, through which things move. Span used toucan, Scooby-Doo, Winnie the Pooh, and the gravitation, no field, are one and the same thing. Undistracted by school and one studies best year in vacations, equations, invasion. The heat of black holes is like the Rosetta Stone of physics, wrapping up written in spitting in a combination of three languages: quantum, gravitational, and thermodynamic, wrapping automatic, still awaiting a decipherment in order to reveal the true natural nature of time, and the awareness that we can always be wrong, take a hint from the ball and pass it along, and therefore ready at any moment to change direction if a track appears rapid of view, the rear view mirror, but knowing also that if we are good enough, we will get it right, and we'll find what we are seeking. This is the nature of science, rapid appliance. They're in a spent and defiant. There is so much space up there that it is childish to think that in a peripheral corner of an ordinary galaxy, wrapping eternally for eternity, there should be something uniquely special, wrapping a petal of metal. But the petal of metal life on Earth gives only a small taste, a waste of what can happen in the universe. It hurts, or our very soul itself is only one such a small example, rather as a purple snapple spit for over an hour of a devourer.